Okay, so welcome to a Ferriby chat here. We met last week, a number of us, to have a bit of a pub quiz, and now we're going to give something a little bit kind of different a go. Talking Ferriby, talking a bit about non-league in general. I think we've had the format previously, the vlog of kind of going around the local scene and Ferriby and Hull. We'll probably just stick to Ferriby and a bit more the local scene and kind of non-league specifically. But yeah, just open up to kind of a bit of chat in terms of what we've seen. It's a bit of a looking back. It's a while back since I remember any football, really. It seems like some time ago. But I suppose just initial thoughts on Ferriby's season, really. Who wants to kick off?
Well, looks like I'll kick off then. I think it's been a funny old season, hasn't it? Really, I think if it had finished, then I think without doubt we'd have finished in the top four of that division. I'm sure we would have done. Despite kind of those misgivings we've had at various points with this idea of trying to build a footballing team in a division that's kind of based a lot on brute force. I think the team was building up a head of steam really at the right time, and I guess kind of the biggest problem we had, I think, which we touched on in the fanzine, was that lack of goals. Wasn't it probably around Christmas time, early New Year? It felt like we was kind of struggling, winning games 1-0 here and there, and then kind of Brody Robertson came in.
Yes. Oh. Yes.
In Joe Dale. Danny Emerton kind of got his fitness back, and it seemed to turn around then, didn't it? It was when we was handing out a few hardings here and there. So I think at the end of the season, as it came down, was a bit of a blur really, because I think obviously starting again at the bottom of the pile, a big thing was momentum and getting up this season. Want to get into the Northern Counties Premier Division and try and kick on, and that's kind of that opportunity has been kind of taken away by obviously the much wider forces that I've got to deal with.
Yeah, it did seem that we didn't score enough goals against East Hull, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if it had come to this kind of points per game thing, we'd have lost out by 2 goals to Campion, wouldn't we, overall, without having played them all in the season, which would have been incredibly harsh. But yeah, when you only put like 3 past East Hull, and everybody else is slamming 7, 8, 9, 10 past them, then you've got to make them count, haven't you, really? What about you, Darren? What do you make of the season as our former editor?
Yeah, sort of similar. I don't think it's ever really didn't really seem to get going for me. I don't know. There seemed to be sort of decent spells. We'd go through games where we were winning sort of 3-4, 5-0. We looked quite sort of potent. Then we'd have a spell of games where we looked like we were, typical sort of like 1-0 team if we were lucky. Sometimes you always felt there was an equaliser on the horizon. Strange, really. I think they've tried to. Sometimes I think they tried to play a little bit too much football. To be honest, it was all right at the start of the season when the pitches were nice and firm and there was a bit of grass on them and one thing or another. The minute you start going to, Worsborough was a classic example. Cabbage patch of a pitch, uphill, that sort of thing. It's
shocking place.
It's all right playing nice football, passing it backwards and forwards, but sometimes you do come a bit unstuck. We didn't look like we had a plan B sometimes. We managed to muddle through majority of the time, but sometimes it was hard going.
Yeah, there was that spell, wasn't there, around autumn where we kept going away from them and losing 1-0 to just absolutely horrific opposition, wasn't there? Was it Glassow and Skeggy, Armthorpe? Yeah. It took a while to get to grips with the division, I think, didn't it? For a lot of the, maybe not for the, it was more the tactics, wasn't it, and the kind of the shape the team was playing in. When a lot of teams at that level that do well tend to have a shithouse at the back and a shithouse up front, don't they? And we kind of don't really have that.
I think kind of Forrester coming in gave us a bit more kind of grit into the midfield. But yeah, you're right. We didn't have those. We watched a lot of opposition. Glassow from Castleton pretty much had rugby league players in the centre of their team. So yeah, I think just that extra kind of bulk, I think, would have helped us out.
But there weren't enough goals coming from the forwards, were there? Until they started signing they obviously made that a bit of a priority. Where signing Will.i.am and what's his face,
Puff Daddy.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, Tom Corner scored plenty of goals, but without him, I mean, I don't know what they'd have done, to be honest.
Unbelievable! An old fan. Joe from Scunthorpe. And he
you know, there just wasn't the firepower there until we started signing some players before it all finished. Unfortunately, it was looking pretty good. I thought they were getting a lot more chances. I think we'd have scored a lot more goals. It's just ironic that the weather, as it has been now for the last month, and we were every week it was, we won't be going anywhere. It's going to get cold off. It's going to get cold off, and invariably it was. And we just, as Darren said, we never got going. Just never seemed to get going. And I was looking forward to the run-in, to be honest. Going to All Road Rangers, finishing off at Rossington, various other grounds, but it just never got going at all. But I certainly think early in the season we lacked firepower up front, and I think the management team knew that as well. That's why they started signing lads. Luke Lofts made an impression when he re-signed.
No, he said he was just going to say. Oh, lovely finish.
Jamie Forrester, as you say, I think they really miss him in midfield when he's not playing. He's the beef in midfield that they need, and he can spray a ball about as well, can't he? I mean, he's pretty useful with that.
Yeah,
or he likes to think he can anyway, but no, he does. He's pretty good with spraying the balls about, I must admit.
Yeah, we had that weird thing, didn't we, with Jamie, where he started the season in sort of like a midfield three, didn't he? And when we went, it was the Winterton game when we went there, and he kind of ended up playing off a striker, didn't he? And he did that for maybe 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I mean, at Winterton he was brilliant, wasn't he? And he's kind of put on
goal,
but
yeah,
after that, he was struggling in that position, wasn't it? I think, and we need to kind of play around play like that. Strengths, don't we? I think
he was out for a while though, wasn't he? And I think he puts weight on quite quickly as well.
Well,
I think he was carrying a bit of beef. He was getting a bit slow, wasn't he, until he started getting his fitness back, I think. But I think they're missing.
All right, Mr. Motivator.
So what my observations are, Darren? I rate him. I like him. I think he's a good lad, and I think they do miss him when he's not playing.
Yeah, well, I think the fact he played a lot higher and was prepared to come down and play at Northern Counties 1.
Yeah,
you'd expect him to dominate, wouldn't you? And I think for most of the season, when he was fit enough to do it, he was doing it really.
Yeah, he's a decent lad at that level. I just hope they can keep the squad together next season. I don't know what it's going to end up like, obviously, with money-wise, or whether that's going to motivate anybody or what. But I think we're still one of the bigger clubs in that division, obviously, or probably the biggest. And I think lads will be really disappointed they never got the chance to go up this year and play slightly higher. So I just hope they can keep them together. I think they probably will do, most of them. It's not that nobody's fault that this has happened. It's just the way it's happened, isn't it? It's just,
I suppose there's a sense that the kind of job half done, really, isn't there? So there's that motivation to hopefully come back again next season to complete the job.
Yeah. It's. I must admit, though, it feels like, oh God, you're joking. Worsborough Bridge again and Glass out. But we need to get off to a good start this time, because I think the last season they did sort of, or this season rather, they did sort of, the first few games they were floundering a bit until they could get their level. And hopefully now they've had a season, or virtually a season at it, so they'll know what they're looking at. So. But you're right. You've got to beat teams like East Hull more than 3-0. Everyone else was. Glass Houghton was a bloody disaster. Worsborough Bridge was the worst place I've ever been. But that's the way it was. But it's a shocking place, that.
I quite like it. I quite like the ground, and it had a nice feel to it, didn't it? But the fact it's on a mountain makes it a little bit tricky.
Oh, it was just horrible. It was the weather, everything. It was just.
I think Hallam's steeper.
Yeah, I wonder. Oh, yeah, I wonder if it's
I haven't been to Allen, but I believe it is. Yeah. How can it be much steeper than Worsborough Bridge? Crikey.
Well, the home team wear a mountaineering kit, I think.
Yeah. One toilet in the whole place as well.
Hallam's an 8-foot drop, I think, from one end to the other.
What's Worsborough Bridge? That must be not far off.
It's part of the Three
We don't
Peaks.
take a tape measure, do we?
I was told it.
That's a shocking place, though,
What about yourself, Rick, in terms of how the season's been?
Yeah, I tend to agree with the building momentum theory. I think that they went through some real tough times, adapted to the division, squad got better and better as they went along. And it did seem to be coming together, ready for this run in. Obviously, there was a lot of games to play, a lot of places to go away that got called off in the winter, and I think like now, pitches are absolutely perfect at the moment. Weather's perfect. Squad was looking good. Players like Luke Lofts and Will Annan coming in around the front. Really creative squad. Really in Chris Boulder's image. And I think what Nick started with, really, I think they would have finished in the top 4 comfortably. So it's a shame it's gone. But what can you do about that? But yeah, two seasons in a row they haven't finished the season.
Yeah, I think I pointed out our last league fixture that's on the record is a couple of seasons back away at FC United of Manchester, as we were dropped down from the National League North, I think. April 2 years ago.
Which is, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, what team who's still going have ever had 2 seasons wiped off? But could they have done anything differently? I mean, I tend to think they've maybe made the decision a little bit early. I know the pro leagues are obviously going to try and carry on. I don't particularly see any reason why at that level they wouldn't. It's not like they're paying players or anything's going to change from not playing fixtures and not having money coming in. That suddenly couldn't have waited a couple of months. So possibly, but then would playing without supporters in a couple of months' time be any point anyway at that level? I don't know, but I do wonder if they could have finished the season. So it seems a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it did kind of feel that they kind of made a decision early on just to get it out the way in terms of a decision around kind of 3 to 7, and then focus on the kind of the bigger hitters, the people who probably shout loudest, really. But yeah, I agree. A decision could be made a little bit later.
Yeah,
Pete,
no, I agree.
Behind the camera, how's it been for you in terms of this season? Pete, in terms of how's it been for you this season behind the camera?
A stop-start season, basically. Nobody's really got into any momentum of any of the local sides. I mean, the Ferriby, I think the first problem Ferriby had was when they had that lad up front who scored a few goals. He was on loan, wasn't he? Can't remember his name.
Ogan Brough.
Go on! Yeah!
Brough, yeah.
Ogan Brough.
Once he went, that's when we seemed to have a bit of a fallow period. And like you say, it wasn't until the last few games that things really sort of came back into good form, and it was starting to look good. But you could say the same to All Road. They're a revolving door at the start of the season, and whilst they were much further down and had no chance of promotion, they were starting to look as if they was pulling some results together. Funnily enough, the best game of the season, from my point of view, was All Road and East Hull. Really enjoyed that one.
Was there a red card in that game? Was there a red card in that game?
There might have been, yeah. Yeah, thinking back.
I think you should drop that one.
When they played each other, you mean? when they played each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah,
red
I mean,
card. Yeah,
unfortunately, I missed a couple of the real sort of routes that Ferriby managed to produce. I mean, that game at Selby sounded fantastic, and we was watching City being rubbish.
What happened at Selby? I don't remember.
It cost you. It cost you.
Oh yeah, we know about that. But apart from that, I think they won 5-0, didn't they? Best performance of the season, and I hardly saw it. I don't think many of us did we? Could you describe the goals, anybody?
Was there a game on?
Yeah, there was, mate. Yeah, I think I saw the penalty. That was about it with Danny Emerton. Because somebody said to me, "Hey, turn around, there's a penalty," and that was it. Apart from that, I never saw it. Never saw it.
Of course, the other game that was entertaining was another one that didn't finish, and that was the Rossington game.
Yeah, 4-0. Yeah.
You know, it looked like it was going to batter them for the full 90 minutes until the lights went out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think if that had been, if that game had been able to stand, then I think we're probably looking at points per game as being a much more acceptable
Exactly.
Yeah, we'd be lobbying, wouldn't we? They're kind of completely different, as opposed to just keep it quiet. We're losing on 2 goals to Campion.
Well,
we'd be up in arms.
That's the problem. Any sort of method that they have of finalising the results, there's going to be winners and losers. And if they say, well, somebody was saying, well, first 19 games for like the Prem and things like that. Well, if you play your first half of the season, you're playing some teams at home and some teams away. And, how fixtures fall, particularly in non-league, you can end up playing sort of like in 19 games, you can end up playing, most of it away, can't you? Particularly if you get postponements and stuff like that. It just doesn't make any sense. The points per game probably is the fairest of the one, but again, there's teams who are going to lose out by that, like Ferriby wouldn't. They'd be quite right to say, well, hang about, Rossington, we're never going to get back into that game. Thank you very much. There's another 4 goals.
Do you think the season will start earlier this year because of the problems they had last year?
No.
You don't?
It'll start later, if anything, won't it? It's going to be hard to see how we're going to get pre-season into for a kick-off.
Yeah,
part of the problem, I think one of the things about in the past they've been reluctant to extend the season because they immediately get going on sort of like the fixtures, because particularly when they're moving clubs sideways through different divisions, and a hell of a lot of non-league players go to the club piss up in Benidorm and places like that. Well, that ain't going to apply this season because nobody's going to Benidorm. But historically, they've released the sort of the Premier fixtures first and then gone downwards, haven't they? And they work from the top. I can't see them releasing the fixtures for us to start at, say, the end of July, when the Premier League might not even be decided by then.
Oh, it would be funny, wouldn't it? The Champions League final is going to be about 2 months after the start of pre-season normally.
Yeah,
So does everybody else just start as normal?
Well, they always argue that the league has got to be finished before, by a certain date, and it's always before the Football League finishes.
They're still going to try and finish it then?
I honestly don't know. Because of the amounts of games that we've had postponed, I've in the past said we should play more games midweek in the summer when the weather's hopefully going to be better. Yeah. And I personally think they should leave a weekend free, maybe in March and February, for teams to be able to sort of rearrange some of their fixtures, particularly for the long distance ones. It's all right having the fixture pile up like we had this season, but if you're playing several games in a week and you're playing sort of long distance away games, then it really does make it difficult.
That's a killer, isn't it? It's a killer this season when you've got spare weekends in August, and especially when you're out of the Vars and things like that.
Yeah.
And then we had like the wettest October on record or something.
We had one in Easter Saturday, didn't we? I think they were scheduled. As it turned out, there were no fixtures anyway.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was a free weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was the whole road game that was cancelled right at the beginning of the season, and they fixtured it in for April, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is ludicrous. They should have tried. I mean, that's 2 local teams, not big travel. They could have tried to get that as a midweek game before Christmas.
Did someone suggest a Friday even for that?
Oh, we was saying City were playing that day, due to play that day, and we were saying, oh well, it'd be great if they did it on a Friday. I don't think it would have affected the attendances that much, but certainly they need to be more flexible to see when they can play. I mean, they've played a few games on Sunday this season. Not ideal, but you know, if they're willing to do that, then maybe they should start looking at when they can sort of fit games in, rather than leaving it till the last 6 weeks of the season to try and get loads of games fitted in.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it's
I think one of
difficult.
the things you asked, I think one of the things you asked us, Matthew, was it top 4 players of this season? What you'd asked us about to put a poll out on the Fanzine account, and I was thinking about that earlier. I think probably 2 of my 4 players of this season are defenders, and that seems a little bit counterintuitive for a team that's finishing in the top 4, all being well. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, when I'm picking my kind of players of the season, I'm thinking Loz McKay.
Well played. Well, whip it in. What? Yes. Oh, yes.
And I'm thinking Levi Tybottom. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Yeah,
Levi Tarbottom's done that wrong, has he, really, since he's been in?
no, I think Levi for me has been the standout player. I think Loz is up there. Martin mentioned earlier Jamie Forrester. I think he'd be on most lists.
Go on. Hey! What's that? Yes.
The 4th one I find tricky after that. I think everybody else has had a decent season, but to me they're the top 3. I don't know if we're picking number 1, but Levi's for me he's been absolutely superb. I think at that level, a defender who's as composed as he is, who's good on the ball, he's way better than that level.
Where did he come from when they signed him?
He came from Barton, didn't he? Yeah.
And
I think we spent a lot
of experience.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, didn't we, on the sideline saying we need that kind of nasty, brutish centre back who's been there and done it. And Levi came in with his fancy haircut that we'd all love to have, and he was outstanding. Yeah, and he was absolutely outstanding, wasn't he? Like you say, he could just read the game, and and I think probably that upturn in form probably started with Levi coming into a large degree, I think, and just kind of steadying the ship at the back alongside Piercy.
And having the kind of the best kind of defence in the league. I mean, certainly down to him, I would say.
Yeah, we did actually, yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, when I sort of picking Loz out as well, I think he did play an awful lot of games, but when you're kind of attacking an awful lot and you're hogging the ball like Ferriby did for a lot of the games, your fullbacks have to give the width to the team, don't they? They have to really kind of step up and create something for you when space is compressed elsewhere. And I think Loz really did that. And Ben Leyland at right back a lot of the time as well. I think they really added an extra dimension to Ferriby's game in the season.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking kind of Ben from continuing from last season as well. He's that kind of continuity kind of coming through, and I think he did well last season and continued again into this season as well. So I think kind of potentially Ben as well fits within there as well. But certainly kind of Loz and Levi then in terms of our list of our top 4. So who else?
I'd say Piercy as well, to be honest. I think he was solid all season.
Oh, yeah.
He was a bit of a presence in the back four, I thought. I know he had one or two mistakes, but he still, to me, he seemed solid there. That's my opinion, Piercy.
Yeah, and I think he's had a good season, and I think he's been a good captain as well in that team because, like you said, there's been an awful, like Pete was saying there, there's an awful churn into players at that level just because of availability and the way the game's kind of come thick and fast. And he's been there, hasn't he? He's probably, I don't know, if you look at the stats, he's probably played as many games as anybody, I suspect, hasn't he? He's he's been a leader.
I think so. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think he's been decent. But Jamie Forrester, for me, he's one of the best in the squad. He really is.
What's your three, Darren?
I went Levi number one.
Go on, finish it. Hey.
I think there was about a month in the season where I think for about 3 of the 4 weeks he was the man of the match. Even though, as Nick says, we were like winning games, but the defender, he was still the man of the match for me sometimes. And he was probably the most consistent out of the back four for a good stretch of the season. I've gone 2, Jamie Forrester. You could argue he probably didn't play enough games, but I think it's a case of when he did play, he was like head and shoulders with anybody else in that position, or in our team for that matter. And in 3rd place, I've got a tie between Tom Corner and Loz Mackay. And can't fault Loz going forward or defending. Tom's probably a controversial pick, but I think he's one of them strikers where if he gets 1, he'll look like he'll get 3 or 4 on his day. He just needs to have his day a little bit more, I think, because some weeks he can look like his head's not in the game, and if the chances don't fall, he struggles. He's got 0 goals written all over him. Then other times he gets 1 chance, 1 goal. 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, he's got 3 goals. He's that kind of striker. Yeah. And then I just put honourable mentions for Ben Leyland. I thought he was outstanding for half a dozen games this season.
Was he better?
When you filmed Pete, he was probably best player going forward from right back.
Yeah. Then, was he better with the bandage or without the bandage?
Better with or without hair?
Yeah. Which was he better before the bandage came off or not?
Yeah.
Better games.
There was more aerodynamic with the bandage on, I think.
He hit the bar. He hit the bar at Armthorpe with the bandage on.
Right.
Yeah, good knowledge.
Yeah.
I think the one play.
He nearly scored at one place. Was it Parkgate?
Parkgate, where he hit the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the one play was
Redford as well.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah. I think the one player we've not mentioned, I think it was on my list, is Danny Emerton. I think, I just think, quality-wise, it just heads and shoulders above most players at that level. And even if he played left back or right wing, he was still an outstanding player. And again, dropping down to that level for a player like Emma, who's played Football League and National League and so on, he didn't take a step backwards against some of them players who literally kind of, coming up to sort of like the knees of some of them, wasn't he? He didn't take a step backwards. He got stuck in at that level, and he was an outstanding footballer. And I think, he was in the top 4 for me this season.
Well, he showed his versatility because even when he played fullback, he was still one of the best players on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he had a good season, Emerton, didn't he? I think the only thing I have against Emo is I think he could be better, and that's because he is better. And he can maybe do it a bit more often, a bit like what Darren was saying about Tom Corner. I think Emo could run rings around him. So I don't know if it's maybe carrying knocks because he does miss some games, doesn't he? Or maybe it's just been a bit in and out. I think he could be absolutely superb. I think my shout for a 4th one, I'd go for Kirky. I think he's another one who came into the team a bit later. He does all the dirty work, lets you Jamie Forresters and whatever, get on with it. Don't have enough of that, I don't think. Especially, like we talked about Martin's favourite place, Worsborough Bridge, when we went there on that awful pitch and awful weather, and you needed people like Kirky that day to get stuck in because nobody could play football on that pitch. And it's not a bad play. Cake. He's not bad at all, but he does all the dirty work. He's the one real scrapper in that team.
On Eddie Birch.
Maybe Piercy. Yeah.
Come on, Eddie.
Come on, Eddie.
All of 37 new players like Ferguson. Listen.
Come on, Eddie. Come on,
But yeah.
Eddie.
It's better than pass it again.
No, Eddie Birch is a bit of a dog in there, and he gets stuck in. I think. He does. I think.
Yeah, well, he's had a tough time, hasn't he, Eddie? He's another one. He's looked like a well beater at times.
He looks as though he wouldn't take any messing off anybody. Anyway.
I must admit, when we signed Eddie Birch, he was the one player when I kind of went, oh great, got Eddie re-signed back up again. Because I think, like you say, Martin, on his day, was it Rick who said, on his day, I think he's one of the best players in the team. I really do.
I don't think he'd take any shit off anybody, would he?
Got a bit of everything about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Depends whether you steam in there, Martin.
Also good
Right,
footballer.
You what, mate?
Depends whether you steam in there, like you do at Granny's Bingo. I mean, Boston fans. Sorry, Boston.
He's got about 40 years on me, hasn't he? He's got 40 years on me. Come on.
And the rest.
There's a question for you. Well, what do you think about the goalkeeping situation? You know, I think probably the club has been lucky to have two keepers who were more than good enough to play at that level. You know, pretty much any team in that division, really, in Lewis and Jordan.
Why have just sold Ducky?
Evening, Jordan. And I think they've both had, when they've played, they've both been, you know, by and large, have had really good kind of seasons, you know, without maybe being hugely pressurised, because for a change, the team's winning and attacking a lot more, isn't it? But, you know, I think it's been a healthy competition
in recent years, I think, yeah. Adam Nicklin's still the best I've seen that down there, to be honest. But
Well, let's be honest, we haven't had a bad goalkeeper for thick end of 10 years now, have we?
no, who was the one? Durant, wasn't there? Durant as well, wasn't there? Was it Durant? Or something?
Yeah, Ross.
Ross Durant, that's right.
Yeah, and the kids they've had on loan have been excellent as well, haven't they? But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, like Nick says, obviously they signed Jordan at the start of the season. He's a great goalkeeper for that level. And then they go and get Lewis back, who's another one who you think is not going to play at that level. So
We're at Palace are winning at Man City.
then he comes in, and that's probably harsh on Jordan. So because you could toss a coin about who you'd pick on a week-to-week basis, really. But no, they're both superb. I think, sort of talking about Player of the Year, they probably haven't been worked enough. I mean, when you look at Lewis, when he was here a couple of years ago, you know, he was playing in games where he was probably facing more shots in a game than the East goalkeeper.
He was getting back there, even picking up, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? He was, you know, losing 4 and 5, and he's making 10 saves. And then this year, winning games 1-0, and he maybe makes 1 save, and it's a crucial save. But neither goalkeeper's been particularly overworked. I mean, I could have played in nets, I think. All right,
Matthew,
don't all argue on.
I think Matthew, anyway, because I saw him at Brig, he was impressive.
Well, my keeping skills, yeah, I turned one onto the post, didn't I, at one point? But yeah, my penalty taking abilities were something left to be desired, unfortunately.
That's for the pros, Matthew. That's for the pros. Just leave it.
At least you had to go, not like the lad on the end.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Next season, there will be another non-league day. There may be another sponsored walk. There may be another penalty shootout.
Not a problem.
If social distancing continues, we won't be able to go.
And there may be
a season.
Selby as well. Another Selby away just around Christmas. That'd be nice again.
Well, there's another man that I'm surprised Darren hasn't mentioned.
This is interesting.
The Ripper.
The rip.
Well, he hasn't done out wrong this season.
Yeah, but Darren's ruined his career, hasn't he, by telling him, calling him Ripper all the time. Poor
I've
lad.
played more games than you.
If this season had gone on and had been extended, he could have just come off the bench if he's got his fitness back. If he ever gets his fitness back.
90th minute winner somewhere to get us promotion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah. I think, obviously James has had a tough season, only with injury, not being able to play, but I think, Dan Wearside, when he's played, did a decent job for the team.
Front, lads. Lads in front, lads. Go on, boss. Go Wearside.
Maybe that says something about the strength in depth at the club, that Wearside kind of couldn't get a sniff really for a long period and had to sort of move on to play some games.
And yet, ironically, by the time he left, I would have said defence was our weakest part, certainly in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
He seemed to depart when we signed certainly towards the back end of the season, when we were signing players like Nan, signed Lofts, Roddy Robertson. They were all sort of forward-based players, weren't they? We were obviously short-staffed at the back because we had, for 2 or 3 games, you had Emma playing left back.
Yeah.
So short we were.
In fairness, though, I agree with Nick. I think Dan Nichols, he was having a good season himself. He didn't do anything wrong, but I think when Levi came in, obviously they had Jack Bale at one point as well, didn't they, early in the season. Jack and Dan moved on because it was going to be Piercy and Levi every game practically.
That Mike Crofty, whatever.
Yeah, Jason Micro,
He's decent as well.
He's another good player.
Yeah. Decent player. Yeah. About him,
he seems to play 2-3 positions, doesn't he? He plays both full back, centre half. Well, he's a bit small for a centre half. But,
I think last game
never lets anybody down.
He played full back then, didn't he? He was full back in last game of season. Absolutely.
One of the better passers of the ball as well.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I think he's a midfielder, isn't he? Out of kind of choice, but kind of getting into that midfield 3 when you've got like Jamie Forrester, you've got Kirky, and you've got Russ Fry if he's available, and so on. It's tough, isn't it? It's tough getting a game in there at the minute.
Him and Russ are too similar.
Maybe so. They maybe kind of do that similar job. I'd say probably Russ is a bit more like Kirky. He's there to kind of break up play and just kind of keep the ball moving.
Yeah.
But again, it's that Northern Counties thing, isn't it, where you have to have that big squad of players because you don't know who's going to be able to turn it from one Saturday to the next.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There's always a trick to Amsterdam,
especially midweek games as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can throw Adam Boulder into the mix as well, can't you? I mean, Adam's played every now and again, hasn't he? And
Yes, I'll run! Know your players! Drop it! Oh, well done! Go on, Jimmy, go on! Oh, take it harder. Come on, Bolt! Come on. Fuck yeah! Get it! Go for Ferraby!
Gary Bradshaw.
yeah.
We didn't see much of him really, but he come on now and again, didn't he?
He's one for the future.
I'm sure he would know you say that.
Yeah. Well, he's got a cracking goal at Worsborough.
Yes! Get him! Fucking hell, brothers.
Was that for the whole road game?
For Earl Road, yeah.
I was going to say, not for Ferriby.
I was going to say, who scored for Ferriby there? Was it Tom Corner, wasn't it? Oh, that was it. We were at the end, weren't we? We had a pitch invasion nearly, didn't we?
Yeah. Lim's all double a shop, wasn't it? As we walked past
it was Limbs, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. There was a decent lad at the back and 2 nonces in front of me. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I was escorting him around the pitch to the nonce area. That was it. Yeah.
Hey, we're nearly 45 minutes in before somebody said the word nonce.
Hell.
I'm looking at 5 of them here. I'm looking at 5 of them.
Period.
So the plan is to put the end of the season out to a vote on Twitter. We'll probably put about 4 options. So it seems like we can go for Forrester, Loz, and Levi. Go for it in terms of a fourth to add into there.
Ooh.
Oof.
I'm sticking with Emma. Well, there's a lot of players who've had decent seasons, isn't there? You could put in there. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think Emma's a good shout, to be honest.
Should we go for that then and put that to the vote, and we'll find a prize?
Right.
Bloody hell, a prize.
That top you've got on, Matt.
This is Curtis Bateson's top that didn't sell in the auction.
Oh, right.
That we ran.
Where's he now? Where's he? He went, didn't he go to games?
Cleethorpes.
Oh, Cleethorpes. That's close to home for him, isn't it? That.
Yes.
He's from over there. Isn't he?
He's Scunthorpe, isn't he? I think.
I thought he was Cleethorpes. Oh, you're probably right. Yeah.
He's playing for Cleethorpes, isn't he? Or he was playing for Cleethorpes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How about
the other donkeys?
Whoa, what? That's no way to talk about Mark Gray, is it? we like Mark. We like Mark.
You take that back.
I'm saying you said it, not me.
Yeah, he moved from Lincoln, didn't he?
Lincoln United.
Was that Curtis?
Mark
Mark
That was
Gray.
great. Yeah,
No,
when
he's
he played for Barton as well, was he on dual forms with Barton?
Yeah.
Come the end of the
Oh,
as the
okay.
season finished, I think so.
Didn't know
Because
that.
I think Lincoln were kind of in dire straits, weren't they? With Hausch in charge, he was kind of electric from crisis to crisis, didn't he? Seemingly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think Mark had kind of was dual registered maybe with Barton, something like that.
Yeah, right. Never knew that.
Lausch is becoming a poor man's Russell Slade, isn't he?
Jesus Christ.
Call for
He has a good go with no money, doesn't he? It's tough for him, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's tough. What about matches this season? I know we touched on a few of the kind of the grimmer experiences, aren't we? Then kind of defeats like Glassoutton and stuff. But must have been some highlights somewhere along the way as well. Which kind of games are we thinking of being, other than Selby, where we won 5-0 and you lot were too pissed to kind of see it? And the game stand
Winston
out?
away.
Winston away.
That was a cracking performance, and they tried to bully us and everything, didn't they? And both teams were really up for it.
Eastall at home was pretty good with the crowd and everything, because there was a 630, wasn't there? I mean, it was a good crowd, and it all, did a job against him, but it still wasn't very convincing. And allowing him to score as well, I mean, it was a bit bloody. But
it was a fun day though with old Waltham.
Was a good one, yeah.
It was a
Waltham
Fanzine
picking himself up front.
Yeah, Waltham. Oh Christ!
It was a Fanzine as well, so that was a good one.
Yeah, it was a massive crowd for that division. I mean, we've been top of the crowds all season anyway.
Oh, here he is.
Here comes Statter.
Attendance nonce. Here we go. Yeah. No, but things like that. I mean, it just we were averaging 340, wasn't it? I think, we were well above teams in the Premier Division for that. I don't think anybody got close. Penistone were the closest. I think we're 250. So I like to just have a look at the stats now and again.
Yeah, Selby went.
Anybody's still watching, they've just turned off.
I'm throwing a rope up.
Did I tell you I silicone the kitchen and the bathroom? Did I tell you? During the lockdown.
Silly what?
I did the re-silicone the kitchen.
Oh, silicone.
You're a silly what?
I did the silicone, around the edge of the worktop and everything. I redid it all. And the bathroom.
I thought you were talking about Waltham.
He was falling asleep, so I was just trying to egg him on a bit. Waltham against us at home. Bloody hell! I mean, why did he turn up? But that was all right. It was a decent day. Brig at home, I was quite impressed we beat them 3-1 at home. To be honest, I thought that was a bigger struggle than it was.
And I'd say the Brig away game as well. I mean, all in terms of the occasion, walking over there, the penalty shootout, unfortunately the injury, and about the 40-minute delay, and kind of the will we go, won't we go type thing. And I think we had 3 flags on display behind the goal as well. It was a good day out.
But that was a game that we like. Whoever earlier was talking about. We never looked as though we were going to do anything. I thought we could turn up, boost their crowd, and walk away with it, and we struggled all through that match. And I don't know if these teams, play up because they play in Ferriby, or is the lads who they think we've got loads of money and they're getting big crowds and all that. And I don't know if it's that, but we struggled like mad in that match, and I just thought, this ain't going to go well. But anyway, we got a point out of it in the end, but it didn't really matter, did it? But I mean, that was the closest we got to a bit of limbs. That was really, wasn't it? 85th minute was Fry.
It was 8 o'clock at night, wasn't it?
It was about the closest we've had all season because it was a relief more than anything else, I think. But we never seemed to. Then it was just like we're going to struggle here. But it was a good day, yeah. 515 there for that one.
Although there was nice to see good crowds, it wasn't as good as last season for sort of chirping from the touchline, like the Scarborough game, the Mickleover game, the Gainsborough. There was quite a bit of goading of players and abuse and all that sort of thing, and a bit quiet this season, wasn't it?
Shocking behaviour.
I mean, I found those bits and pieces from Gainsborough and put that video on, and Nick was very scathing on that liner, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was clearly Nick's voice. I could hear it as soon as I heard it. Oh, he's giving it.
You'll be hearing from a legal team about these horrible slurs.
He was trying to deny it. He was back it. Oh no, nothing to do with me. No, nothing to do with me. It was like a Boris Johnson press conference. Oh no, not to do with me.
Like you with the left back at Worsborough.
Took him off. He was traumatised. Took him off.
Some pensioner abusing him for 90 minutes.
He thought his granddad had turned on him.
It was just the once. He wasn't gobshite, was he? But according to him, I only went to see him, so I still don't know his name. But there you go.
We'll see him again next season.
Who called him?
Yeah.
He'll be waiting for you next season.
Oh, I don't think I can stand word.
Under the bridge.
I'm probably doing my hair that day or something when we play Worsborough. Or I'll be finding a shopping outlet or something like that. I'll be asking Darren for his book of shopping outlets. Have you got a look?
Sheffield, Manchester, Newcastle,
Meadowhall,
Casuals,
Blue Water, Thurrock. Oh, I'll get into them. No, Worsborough Bridge was a shocker. If we go in August when it's sunny, but that'd be nice.
Sunny in Worsborough.
Well, exactly, I know. And they wonder why the pitch floods with that bloody river behind it as well. That was a laugh. The match is off because of waterlogged pitch. You're bloody joking, aren't you? Got the Fleming River right behind you.
All right,
He
mate.
really has got a downer on Worsborough, hasn't he?
hasn't he?
I have, mate. It traumatised me, that did. And then I couldn't find a toilet. I had to go in them bushes over the road.
Yeah, that's what all the nonsense.
I was found there, found in the bushes.
You need to get out more.
Yeah,
There's grimmer places than that.
So I would believe, yeah.
If we could ever finish the season, we might get to go to some.
Which is worse in that division then than Worsborough?
But where didn't we get to go?
I think Ollerton was a tough one because that just has like a really tiny little stand, and then the rest is wide open to the elements, and it was a pretty miserable afternoon that in the weather. And then the lights went out, didn't they, in injury time when we was 3-0 up, 1 up.
They kept that.
We managed to keep the 3 points for that one, didn't we? But yeah, that was a tough place to go to just because it was almost like a
Campion, home or away, did we?
No, which I think would have made that points per game thing a tough one to swallow when you kind of lose out by 2 goals to a team you've not played at all in the season. It'd be a tough way to sort of finish the season.
Rossington away, Harrogate Railway away. We're due to play them too.
Harrogate's tomorrow.
Hey?
Harrogate, I think, is tomorrow. Or would have been tomorrow.
What, on a Tuesday?
Are we going?
Yeah, we'll go to Harrogate. Take a football.
We'll
have a walk there.
It's underground for pubs and stuff. It's in Starbeck, just outside Harrogate, but it's not a bad little place.
Well, that's one for next season then, isn't it?
Yeah, Skeggy and it depends how they fall, innit, and what time of the year they are and things like that. But Selby's a good one because you can just get on the train, can't you? So easy that.
For free.
Some of you.
the other business that's unfinished is the East Riding County Cup final, which could well be a pre-season friendly or pre-season match, I would guess.
Is against the under 23s.
Yeah, which could unify the Billy Bly Trophy as well.
A double header.
Yeah.
That's not a bad show.
So yeah, no word on that, but yes, that would be good to include.
Don't they do that with the Lincolnshire Cup? Don't they play that one season and then start it the following season?
Yeah, I think
they do things differently in Lincolnshire, don't they? It's,
most things different.
Well, yeah, they run it differently, don't they, throughout the season like that, and use it in a different way, don't they? As a pre-season one or whatever. Come on, that's another one for the league.
We're looking forward to Brid away next season, but that's not going to happen now, is it?
Yeah, that'd have been nice, wouldn't it? A trip to Brid.
And Gould, Brid and Gould, yeah, that'd have been brilliant. That.
Well, we're saying this, but you don't know the composition of the leagues when it finally does get up and running. Heaven forbid, but there might be a few clubs going.
I was going to say, do you think clubs will end up going to the wall at that level? You can see some struggling, can't you, to survive this period? I know Mark at the supporters club's running fundraising things in it to try and keep money in at Ferriby, and I guess other teams are probably doing similar initiatives, but it's going to be tough, I suspect, isn't it, for a lot of clubs.
Yeah. I think it's probably going to be higher up the pyramid where they've actually got contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think the with the players not being contracted, they're not paying money out, but you still got to maintain your facility and everything. So teams who, if they have big rents or that sort of thing, rely on the gates. But to be fair, at that level, when Mike Martin says Ferriby are averaging 300 and odd, and they're head and shoulders above everybody else, if anybody else is relying on gates, then they're in trouble anyway.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a few teams taking a voluntary demotion or something like that.
Could be, yeah.
I suppose the league has come in, haven't they, and kind of offered kind of a waiving of some of the fees and offering footballs, trying to kind of not necessarily give money, but at least to kind of cut the costs of some of the clubs. And I think it's averaging out about £900 a club, so at least it's something to help them. Yeah,
that's a good thing, isn't it? Obviously, the Northern counties are trying make things easier next season. So I think there's a big pot of money from the government as well as about 20 million quid that you could apply for. So there'll be about 20 million clubs applying, so I might get £1 each, I guess.
Have they actually stated they was going to restructure the league next season, this coming season, weren't they? Is that now put back another year, do we know?
Yeah, that's put back another year.
It makes sense, wouldn't it? If everything's been voided and there's no promotion, then I guess it would just have to wait, wouldn't it, surely?
Well, I suppose it's all up in the air because we don't know who's going to be around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think another kind of problem coming down the track for maybe some clubs is that if you're relying on volunteers, as non-league clubs do by and large, then a lot of them people, by their nature, are probably retired out. The people with time on their hands, and when with these.
You're not going to go more big now, are you?
No, I'm not saying anything about Martin here or anything. I know Martin's not going to be with us too much longer, given years in the care home and everything. But
it's not going to be view from the graveyard, is it?
View from the graveyard, but a lot of the clubs do rely on kind of that older generation, to kind of keep them running, ticking over and stuff. Yeah. And it's that kind of that demographic that the government are saying, you've got to isolate there, haven't they? And it's probably going to be enforced going out through the years. So it's going to be, it might be tough just getting people to kind of get down to the ground and actually do stuff.
God's not as old as Martin.
How old am I, Darren?
100 and what?
I wish, mate. I wish I was retired. Just gone back to work today for the first time in 4 weeks. And
if you start muttering about surviving the coronavirus, we could forward this on to Peter Levy. It'd be like one of them interviews from home. East Yorkshire's oldest survivor.
You're back at work, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody working from home?
Always.
Yeah. On the chaise long.
Oh yeah, you working from home? Anyone else out there grafting like?
Not Nick.
I think I'm the only one.
I'm always grafting.
I'm definitely working from home though. I'm not having to go out there. But yeah, on a computer, laptop, kind of.
Oh, it must be terrible. That must be terrible.
Yeah.
Are we going to finish on league table of trainers?
Null and void.
That's
Null and void.
Oh, that's a shame because Sean Harris and Nick were in the relegation zone, weren't they?
I'm not even in the
Clark was
league.
already relegated.
I'm playing a different game altogether.
I think it's
Well, what's going on here?
league.
What's Grandad doing?
Christ, is he getting his socks out?
Is it? Or is it league table of slippers?
Adidas Prost Oktoberfest.
Adidas
Oh, that's
Prozzy.
not.
Adidas prostitute.
Top of the league. Top of the league.
You won't get blood on them or anything.
Leather. They go with me leather hosen these do. Made of leather.
Well, if the season
Get
if
that.
the season does resume in July, it might be in with a shot of promotion.
There we go.
Top of the league.
And just when he dies, he leaves his trainer collection to me.
I won't fit you, will I?
Is he coming back?
I'll put some extra socks on. It's a size 10 out, you might.
Yeah, size 10.
I'll have
Oh,
them
it's
then.
Oh,
Never
here
mind.
we go.
Oh,
Bloody hell.
flaming hell. Can we edit this bit out?
Like a shopping channel, isn't it?
QVC.
QVC.
So next season, when we start up league table of trainers, I guess control starts on -30, doesn't it?
I'm playing a different
administration.
game.
Yeah, look, the box.
Artisans play a different game altogether. Artisans are on a
Rhymes
different,
against footwear.
Look at Darren sweating.
different
Look.
level for the Artisans.
You trying to sell them or what?
Darren sweating. Look at him there.
It will be when the care home
Marketplace.
fees go up.
Well, there's a challenge for next season.
I had to go back to work, otherwise I kept buying them. So I thought I can't. All day buying
That's why
trainers.
Nick don't bother working.
It gets expensive. So I thought I'd better go back to work and earn some money. But
Why
yeah,
don't
we
you
could-
spend all day buying trainers, Nick?
Mate, Artisans don't think about trainers. Artisans have got
He's on a different level.
a different level. We think about different things to trainers.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do any of that. He doesn't have to get his kicks like that. He's on a
No,
different.
I'll leave it to the trainer nonsense for that type of thing.
Surely Adidas do some sandals for you.
Some sandals,
Where were your
Oh, here we
socks?
go.
slippers.
Yeah,
That's what the Artisans wear. Slippers.
Adidas Artisan.
Who did win the trainer league then? Was it Darren?
Me, pissed it.
Who judged
all
it?
over-
Pissed on
You
them.
by any chance?
It was all over my.
oh yeah.
Maybe the players should judge.
Trainer league.
Didn't you spill a beer on your trainers, Darren?
He didn't put fucking grass on them on a penalty shootout, did he?
Those yellow ones, weren't they?
Orange.
That was down his back.
Orange.
Have you bought any recently?
No, mate. I've been on statutory sick, so I can't afford gear.
No, he's asking about trainers.
Have you sold some as well?
Can't afford them either.
Oh no, the corona's back.
Yeah.
Corona cough.
Well, on that note, should we wrap it up in terms of kind of this evening and a bit of a chat and things like that? I suppose we could probably do this again. Kind of a couple
Yeah,
of
we
weeks.
could.
Other things to talk about. See how the
We're going to do it in a week's time, and Martin can do it a week on Tuesday.
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Yes, you know that.
See you next Tuesday.
We better wrap it up before Matthew disappears. You don't afford electricity at the moment.
Darker, aren't I? Yeah, indeed. I've got to put 50p in the meter.
Where do you live, Matt? In Cottingham?
It'd be lights out on D-Wing.
Gas lamp today.
You've got to put what?
It's
East
D-Wing,
Coast
is it?
budget in the meter.
It is old school here. Yeah. No, it's it's getting a bit gloomy here. But yeah, I was going to say, I was going to kind of take a screenshot and kind of if you'll wave. Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Yeah.
We look like knobheads.
Yeah, we've all got 5 fingers, not 6.
Cool.